Hi Logic Language Learners, welcome back. Same as normal, if you're new to the channel please subscribe. Please remember to add me on Facebook where you've got Logic Language Learning all attached and I can send you some documents. And yeah, and please click like if you enjoy the video. So today's video is the promised video explaining a really useful technique that basically avoids, I'm using the word basically, which helps you to avoid having to come up with French yourself. It seems incredibly obvious, but it's a really useful vocal, I'm losing battery, a really useful vocal trick that you should get into the habit of doing. So, let's just think in English for a second. So, how are you? Listen to the tenses of what I'm saying. How are you? I am fine. Present tense, present tense. What were you doing last night? I was reading. Did you go to the shop? Yes, I went to the shop. Will you ask him? I will. So generally, conversation when it's question and answer, you're going to be using the same tenses as your answer. Yeah, so that's the first point. So I teach this a great deal to people in my private classes, and you're welcome to obviously do private classes with me. Please contact me at logiclanguagelearning@gmail.com. But the point is, when you're speaking, you hear the question, you've understood the question, and then you panic, and the majority of the information you need is already in the question. So for example, let's do some GCSE and A-level style questions, or high school style questions. So, où est-ce que tu habites? Où est-ce que tu habites? Where do you live? What has that sentence given me? It's given me tu habites, so it's giving me the tense, present tense. J'habite, so because otherwise your brain goes, right, where do I live? And then freshly and newly, your brain then goes, right, I need to work out I live. And it starts the whole process again itself, which is crazy because we're obviously in the same tense, we don't need to. If the question were, where did you used to live when you were little? Où est-ce que tu habitais quand tu étais petit? Or quand tu étais petite with a girl? You'd then go, oh, I got that one, right, that was the was tense, right, so I used to live. And then newly and weirdly, you then have to create it yourself. No, no, no. So what are we basically saying? We are saying that for the most part, the verb you're going to hear is going to be identical to the verb that you're going to use. Let's look and talk about this. So, if for example, okay, say we have, the question word is an ER verb, is an A verb. So, tu danses. Okay, tu danses. Sound-wise, we have been taught with my method that we go on the A, don't we? We go on the core. So the same core is going to match. So tu danses, je danse. Okay. What is our other method that we need to think about? Soft and hard. So who takes soft? Yeah. Who takes soft? People who take soft are single people soft. So in an exam, it is more than likely that somebody is calling you tu. Yeah, I doubt very much somebody would refer to you as vous in an exam. So tu is a soft person and je is a soft person. So for example, if I had a soft hard verb, if you're not familiar with what soft hard verbs are, go right back to the beginning of my video list and look at the bottom where it's got irregular method, irregular verbs, easy method, right at the beginning of the videos. So if we had the verb vendre, soft would be vend. So are you selling your house? Est-ce que tu vends ta maison? So you know that your response is also going to be soft. Oui, je vends ma maison. Okay? If you had a question that was est-ce que vous, and this goes for people who aren't doing exams, this goes for people who are abroad in France or speaking to somebody in French. So if you're hearing a vous, two things are going on there. Okay? If you're hearing a vous, you have got either somebody referring to you individually, formally, or you are being spoken. So you and your wife, do you live here? Est-ce que vous habitez ici? Now, what does vous give us? Vous in both methods, A or soft hard, or even irregular, so all three methods, will pretty much, apart from the verb to say, the verb to do, and the verb to be, most other verbs I can think of in French, the nous form, the we, will be the same as the vous form, with an en, a direct swap. Vous conduisez, you drive. Are you driving today? Vous conduisez? Nous conduisons, we're driving. Vous sortez, you're going out. Nous sortons. Vous mangez, nous mangeons. Whatever's going on with the verb that you hear in the vous in the question, giving it back straight away is a simple case of swapping on, a for en. Same in the other tenses. Did you used to live here? Est-ce que vous habitiez ici? Oui, nous habitions ici. Would you like? Est-ce que vous aimeriez? Oui, nous aimerions. So there's this direct a to en swap, which is really, really useful. Okay? So that's the other thing. If you've been spoken to as a vous and it's just you on your own, okay, you can obviously ask them to use tu, or you can then take that back to the I material which you're more familiar with. Okay? So let's start looking at this in detail. What words are you going to have to switch back with somebody? Okay, so if you hear, you need to recognise straight away as well when you're listening to somebody whether they're using a be or a have. So 99% of the time, if they're using an auxiliary, you're going to get, you know, tu as or tu es. Possibly vous avez or vous êtes. So for example, have you arrived? Est-ce que tu es arrivé? Est-ce que have you seen the house? Est-ce que tu as vu la maison? So what are we swapping here when we hear words that are obviously from have and be? Not going to be the same word, not going to be mange, mange or vent, vent, but we're going to do a swap, aren't we? So tu as is always going to become j'ai. I'm trying to write with both hands here. J'ai, okay? Tu es is going to become je suis. And I don't think that's asking too much to remember that, is it? Okay? So, est-ce que tu as mangé? Oui, j'ai mangé. Remember to stay in the same have. Est-ce que tu es sorti? Did you go out? Oui, je suis sorti. So you're always going to be swapping a tu with a je. Always in the questions, okay? What else are we going to be swapping? If you hear possessives, where have I put my board rubber? Pardon me. This is what happens when you try and tidy up. There we go. Again, another shout out to Ginny who bought me these. So, if you are hearing in the question, where is your dog, for example? My dog is, okay? So next technique is things you've got to swap. We're going to have one, anything tu is going to become je, yeah? Two, anything être, avoir, you've got to change, but we know which ones they are. Three is going to be the possessives, okay? So logically think about this. What are the your possessives that you're going to hear? You're going to either hear ton, ta, or te. Ton, ta, te. Où est ta maison? Where is your house? This is telling you it's feminine. Yeah? So swap a ta, so we're basically going to swap a t for an m. Mon, ma, me. Où est ta maison? Ma maison est whatever. Okay? Où sont tes enfants? Right? You've heard tes enfants. They've done the work for you, your children. It tells you that it's plural. It tells you what the plural possessive is. It tells you it begins, that you've got the link, tes enfants. What do you need to do to swap it? Mes enfants, whatever, whatever, whatever. Okay? Votre, your, again, will either become notre or the my one. Okay, so if you're speaking, you and your wife, where is your car? Où est votre voiture? Notre. So again, you've got the straight V to N swap that we were talking about earlier. Okay. next thing, okay? So let's do some examples of that. So, où est votre fils? Notre fils est our son is, okay, for example. Next thing. The other thing you're going to start hearing in questions, and it's really easy, and I want you to do this. We've been talking about the T's becoming M's. Okay, in questioning, and we're focusing largely on the M and the T, you're going to hear M or T in the middle of your questions, aren't you? You're going to sometimes hear pronouns. So, for example, you gave me, tu m'as donné. Okay, so did you give me the keys? Tu m'as donné les clés. Est-ce que tu m'as donné les clés? Remember when you hear m, yeah, it's going to have to become t in whatever format. So if the question is, have you seen my keys, mes clés, the answer is going to be tes clés. Okay? So the same with the pronouns. If you're hearing m or t, you're clearly hearing the direct or the indirect, whatever, or the reflexive m, which can become M apostrophe, or T, which can become T apostrophe. Or nous, which obviously will swap directly to vous, which is easier, as we've talked about before. So for example, did you give me the bottle? Est-ce que tu m'as donné la bouteille? Non, je ne t'ai pas donné la bouteille. Whatever. Okay, so the fact is, remember to be ready with the M and the T. You have seen me, tu m'as vu. I have seen you, je t'ai vu. Yeah, m for t swap. Okay. Did I get washed? If you forgot, est-ce que do I wash here? Est-ce que je me lave ici? Oui, tu te laves ici. Yes, you wash here. Okay. So there's a direct m to t swap that you need to be really aware of for speed, okay? It's as easy as that. That's all you've got to do. You don't have to build the sentence up again from scratch. Oh, you've got to do it, okay? So, next idea. Next useful idea. This is great for exams, and this is also great for just general speaking, is you can repeat as much. You're going to get the nouns that you need, you're going to get the grammar that you need, you're going to get the tenses that you need out of the question. So if you are being marked in an exam, or just even out of the exam environment, out of the academic environment, you want to come across as more fluent, you want to be providing more words, this is a really good method. You can repeat the question. I talked about this in another video the other day. So, do you like pizza? Rather than just saying yes, it's nice to ask yourself the question, do I like pizza? Yeah, I mean, it becomes a little bit too much if you do it all the time, but if your examiner, or the person you're speaking to in French, hears their own words back at them, it's correct French, it's 100% correct French, you are guaranteed to be using the correct French. So, est-ce que tu veux aller voir le vieux château? Do you want to go and see the old castle? Est-ce que tu veux aller voir le vieux château? So what's my only change that needs to go there? I've heard a T. Est-ce que tu veux? It's a soft, hard verb, so I'm going to have to go with soft. So it's going to be the same. So est-ce que je veux aller voir le vieux château? Now, this exercise is both useful for providing French back to you, and also it's a skill you need to develop. You need to develop a copy-paste. You need to develop a copying what you're hearing and being able to play it back, okay? So, play games with somebody else who's learning French. Est-ce que tu veux aller voir le vieux château? Oui, je veux aller voir le vieux château. Non, je ne veux pas aller voir le vieux château. Okay, the old castle. Okay? Est-ce que tu as envie de m'accompagner? Do you want to accompany me? Est-ce que tu as envie de m'accompagner? Non, je n'ai pas envie de t'accompagner. All the stuff is there. Now, little note on this. If you're hearing grammar for the first time, if you're hearing vocabulary for the first time, in an exam situation, you're going to get a mark for the vocabulary. So, for example, if somebody says, est-ce que tu penses que le niveau de pollution à Londres est trop élevé? Do you think the level of pollution in London is too raised? Okay? You're going to get a mark for using those correct words. Now, they're anticipating that you're going to be doing that in your answer, but you can ask yourself, est-ce que tu penses que le niveau de pollution à Londres est trop élevé? Do you think the level of pollution in London is too raised? Okay? You're going to get a mark for using those correct words. Now, they're anticipating that you're going to be doing that in your answer, but you can ask yourself the question again. Est-ce que je pense que le niveau de pollution à Londres est trop élevé? Now, this does three things. It buys you time to think about your proper answer. It reminds you of the vocabulary you're about to use, because you might not be 100% down with that vocabulary. So if you just copy what they've said as soon as they've said it. So, est-ce que tu penses que le niveau de pollution à Londres est trop élevé? Est-ce que je pense? Do I think? Okay? Good. So it's a really... That's two. The third thing that I was going to say, it's a really good method. The third thing that's really, really, really useful as well is psychologically, when you're talking to somebody and you use their words back to them, it makes them feel nice. So anybody that's doing a job interview, anybody that's doing anything like this, try and use the words of the person that's talking to you back to you, because it just makes you think, wow, I feel really understood. I recently started working with a fantastic advanced student called Callum, who I'd never met before. I'd met from the videos, and he's quoting my methods at me. I'd never spoken to him, but he's in his own sort of systematic, description of what he's doing in French and then Spanish. He's quoting my methods back at me, and it just makes me think, it's not an arrogant thing, it just makes you think, oh, I really understand what he's saying, because it's the kind of thing that I say, okay? So that's the next thing, okay? So let's move on to one more little exercise, little rundown about this. So in overview, what we're saying is that you try and repeat the question back to somebody as much as you possibly can. You try and keep the grammar. Okay, so 4 is keep the grammar and the vocab. Okay, possessives have got a simple swap, so let's talk from the top again. So anything that you hear as tu will become je. Yeah, verbs will, and with that, verbs will stay the same. Yeah. Est-ce que tu parles français? Oui, je parle français. Oui, je parle français. You can have the verb there or not. Okay. Be mindful of the be and have. Est-ce que tu es parti? Oui, je suis parti. Est-ce que tu as dansé? Oui, j'ai dansé. But it's an obvious one to have ready. And when you've been revising all the have verbs and all the be verbs, like you shouldn't be with a visual table, just having that obvious readiness of going from tu question to je response, yeah, or a tu question to, expecting a je response back in listening, that's a good thing to have. Remember the possessive swap. Mon, ma, mes swaps to ton, ta, te. Votre, no, votre, vos swaps to notre, no. Okay? Est-ce que je peux utiliser votre voiture? Can I use your car? Je peux, soft, so I need a soft back. Oui, tu peux utiliser ma voiture, okay? Or notre voiture if it was our car, okay? Keep vocab, keep vocab, keep vocab. Now, a little note on keeping vocab. Those of you that have followed my videos, and if you don't understand how to do this, please scroll down the list and look for the direct and indirect pronoun videos. But there is obviously a skill to using a pronoun when you don't repeat the whole vocab. So for example, are you going to buy the pasta? Yes, I'm going to buy it, or I'm going to buy some. Yeah, are you going to buy the bottle? Yes, I'm going to buy it. Okay, so yes, that is worth considering. A, to show off that you're better at French, or B, like I said, in an academic, in an exam environment. So for example, est-ce que tu aimes la pizza? Do you like pizza? Oui, je l'aime. Rather than just j'aime la... Oui, j'aime la pizza. Because as you know from English, it sounds a little bit babyish. Do you like carrots? Yes, I like carrots, rather than yes, I like that. So what do? Give the examiner both options. I suppose the easiest would be to go, oui, j'aime la pizza. Oui, je l'aime. Yes, I like pizza. I like it. Okay, give them both. Show them you use the vocabulary, get your mark for the vocabulary, and then also show that you've got the pronoun, the shortcut method. Okay, or do what we do in French loads, which is give a subject, then a comma, or an object, then a comma, and then the shortened version. La pizza, oui, je l'aime. Now I'm talking about blooming pizza. I mean, this could be like the levels of radiation in, you know, in so the former Soviet Union after you know, nuclear testing. I mean, it could be anything for A level, but the point is, get the vocab back out at the person, okay? But then show that you can do it with a le, la, les, an it or an a. But do both, okay? So this is just one thing which is contrary to the repeating stuff back to them, okay? Good. Now, final thing on this is I want you to be very, 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 very mindful of when you're playing this copy game that often you'll have to drop in exactly the sentence you've heard, but you will then be dropping in, okay, so number 5, okay, adverbs. Okay, so by adverbs, what do we mean? The ne and the pas, the ne and the plus, no more, the ne and the jamais, the ne and the rien, nothing, the bien, the mal, okay? So, this is where the rhythm gets really important, and you've got to remember that you are going to interrupt and modify what you are hearing. Est-ce que tu as compris? So we'd have a tu to a je. Oui, j'ai compris. But what could you do? So remember, you can either do this straight away, or you can safely copy, and then from what you've just said in your mouth, you might be in a better position to manipulate it. So, est-ce que tu as compris? Oui, j'ai compris. Oui, j'ai bien compris. Or, est-ce que j'ai compris? Je n'ai pas compris. Now, 3 things on this. In oral French, it's fine to drop the ne. It's even a little bit more modern French, okay? It is completely appropriate to keep the ne. If you manage dropping in the ne, that's fine, but the minute you start dropping in reflexives as well and pronouns, so like je me lave, je ne me lave pas, I just say je me lave pas. When you write them down, you write the ne, okay? You never write, particularly for exams, you always write the ne, okay? But orally, you're going to sound fine if you drop the ne, and I'm giving you my full permission as an exam marker to do this, okay? So if you feel straight away you can modify what you heard and drop in one of these, do it. Est-ce que tu as mangé quelque chose? J'ai mangé quelque chose. Je n'ai pas mangé quelque chose, or simply j'ai pas mangé quelque chose. So it might be that you need to ask yourself the question to prep the sentence in your mouth. Est-ce que j'ai mangé quelque chose? Non, j'ai pas mangé quelque chose. So it might be you just need to say the question out loud, swapping the tu for the je, and then say it again, rather than, which is what we don't want, which is the whole point of this video, you trying to construct the whole sentence yourself from the beginning, which is what we're trying to avoid. We're using what they've given you. But they haven't given you, necessarily, the adverb. They might do, est-ce que tu as bien compris? Have you understood well? Oui, j'ai bien compris. But they might not have done, and you kind of want them not to have done, because then you can show off by popping it in. So remember the adverb rule. Adverbs come after verb number 1. Adverbs come after verb number... low battery. After verb... coming towards the camera. After verb number 1. Okay? So remember in your mouth, je mange... Je mange bien, I eat well. Je mangeais, I was eating. Je mangeais bien, I was eating well, or I used to eat well. J'ai bien mangé, when you've got a have in the middle. Adverbs come after verb number 1. Sometimes that will be your only verb, sometimes it will be your auxiliary verb. Yeah, je vais bien manger. So in the methods that you've just heard, you've heard the word manger and bien in different orders. So you need to be mindful of that. So remember, adverbs come after verb number... Okay? So, monsieur, est-ce que vous, and imagine I'm talking about you and your wife, est-ce que vous avez vu le vieux château? Have you seen the old castle? So, right, you think vous to nous swap. Vous, est-ce que nous avons vu le vieux château? Non, nous avons pas vu le vieux château. Okay? If you're comfortable enough straight away to go to nous n'avons pas vu le vieux château, fine, but 99% of people when they're first starting will trip up over this, okay? So this is something to be mindful of, okay? So to drop in adverbs as and when you want, but to be careful with them, okay? Final point on the question response method when it's for exams is don't offer an opinion on the question. That buys you even more time, okay? And it will link you into your first statement. So if somebody said to you, est-ce que tu, so typical A-level question, est-ce que tu penses que le niveau de pollution à Londres est trop élevé? Do you think that the level of pollution in London is too raised? When you ask yourself the question, est-ce que je pense que le niveau de pollution à Londres est trop élevé? Then give me a comment on the question. C'est une bonne question. Now, we've talked about this before. It is a question plus adjective. C'est une question intéressante, c'est une question amusante, c'est une question importante, yeah, c'est une question inquiétante, worry, they're all going to be feminine because question is feminine, okay? Or you could use instantly, if you think, right, I've got to get my subjunctive in because I want the A star, I'm glad you have asked me the question. Straight away you're giving me an emotion statement. If you don't understand what this is, then can you look through the past videos and find subjunctive? There's a whole series of videos on the subjunctive, okay? So I'm happy you have asked this question. Now, if you are saying tu as to somebody, yeah, subjunctive is going to be tu aies, isn't it? So je suis content que tu aies posé cette question. If you were calling the examiner vous, and please try and stick to vous or tu when you work with an examiner, don't keep jumping around. So, est-ce que vous avez, so I'm happy that you have, vous avez, je suis content que vous ayez posé la question, okay? And again, on this final thing, if you come out with a sentence and you're like, yeah, I got my subjunctive in there, that's really good. Nothing is stopping you saying the same thing again and sticking in a direct pronoun. Je suis content que vous ayez posé la question. Oui, je suis content que vous m'ayez posé la question. You've got, wow, you've used the subjunctive with a direct, an indirect pronoun. Yeah. So the fact is, all of these things show me what? That you can chill, you can relax, you can take your time. This isn't a tick box multiple choice question paper. This is for the oral that we're talking about, okay? This is all for oral exams or non-exams, general speaking. Take your time, add another level, say the sentence, add another level again. We do this in English. I really wanted to see Josh. Yeah, I really wanted to see him. Yeah, we often repeat ourselves. I wanted to see Josh. I really wanted to see Josh. You'd go again. You'd add a little bit more to it. Now in English, you'd be doing that because of emotion. You'd be thinking, no, that hasn't quite made my point. I need to add some more. But the fact is, in French, if you relax and chill out, you're only adding one more ingredient at a time. And that is easier to do than, I need to build the whole sentence. Je parle, I speak. Je le parle, I speak it. Je le parle souvent, I speak it often. Je le parle pas souvent, I don't speak it very often. Yeah? Je le lui parle pas souvent, I don't speak to him very often. I don't speak it to him very often. You can always add an ingredient. Yeah? And that's easier to do going one at a time. So that's basically the point of this video. So I hope this video was useful. Please, 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 please practice just copying what someone has said to you. Yeah? Press pause, stop, start, be it on my videos or anybody else's videos or actual French film or TV, and practice coming back with what you've just heard. Practice an oral copy paste. If this video has been useful for exams or just for general talking in French, please click like. Please also subscribe to the channel because it motivates me for a start and it helps keep it free. And remember, I am available for private tuition if you email me at logiclanguagelearning@gmail.com on Skype or in person. Okay, have a great day.